Hello everyone, it's your favorite Senso Jedi, and in this video we are going to talk about how to set up your keyword logging policy. So let's jump right into that. So you will need to be an organizational admin in your portal to be able to set up this policy, and when you've logged into your portal, navigate to the gear in the top right hand corner, and that's going to take you over into the admin center. Now, one thing I do want to bring up at the top of this video is the ability to have sites and groups. And with sites and groups, you can have multiple sites, you can have multiple groups. And for this, you can target where the policy gets applied. Does it get applied at the top of the site and inherited down to the groups below it? Or in the site, are you targeting a specific group with this policy? So sites can be thought of as containers. These are going to be all the devices in a singular area, a building, admin, staff, student. You put them all together in one site. And then you can build filtered groups below those sites. So you can have multiple sites, you can have multiple groups. This will come in handy if when setting up this policy, I will introduce the area where you can pick and choose. If you want it to be a site, it gets inherited below that, or you want it to be a group and it targets just that one group. So the left in the navigation pane, you're going to expand the logging area and you're going to go to policies. You'll want to create policy. And in this one, we are setting up the keyword logging policy. Here is where that site and groups comes into play. I can choose whichever site, and with this site, I can choose all the groups in the site, or I can pick and choose a specific group in that site. And then you can build multiple policies if you have multiple groups. So just be aware that you can create one policy that gets inherited down at the top of the site, or you can create multiple policies that target individual groups. So you have some options below about what happens with the policy. Enable just determines whether the policy is active or inactive. Enforce ensures that the policy overrides all the other configured logging policies. Mergeable allows this policy to be combined with other active logging policies, or overridable permits other policies to take precedence over this one. So in this case, because I want this at the top of my site, I want this to be the first policy to be applied, so enforced, and I want it to be mergeable just in case I set up any future policies for this site. Policy items. You can toggle on to monitor keystrokes, and you have off and on for monitoring keystrokes. And then web activity are going to be websites that they visit. Do you want to have the ability to disable this? Do you not want to see any of their website activity anywhere they've gone? Do you want to have the ability to block only? Meaning you would set up a custom rule set, which is going to be gone over in a different video. For custom rule sets, do you want to set it up where you block sites only? Do you only want to log them? You don't want to have the ability to log and block. Or do you want to log and block? I want to log them, and if I need to set up a custom rule set with a block, I have that ability to do that in a different area. I would say typically you would want to leave it at log and block, but there are a lot of reasons why you would want to change that, so that's why we've given you lots of options there. Okay, for this area, you have application exclusions, title exclusions, SSL application inclusions, SSL application exclusions, and SSL URL. So we'll start with application. This is to exclude specific applications from keystroke monitoring. So you would enter the process name here, chrome.exe for example, and they would be exempt from any sort of keystroke logging. Title exclusions is to specify it excludes specific window titles from keystroke monitoring. Maybe you don't want them to be able to enter into Notepad++. You could put that in there, and these keystrokes in those windows would not be logged. Okay. SSL application inclusions specify applications that should be included in SSL inspection. So you'd list the process names here that you would require to have SSL to be included in this. So when you're adding these in, for example, like the chrome.exe, you would add in chrome.exe and hit enter. SSL URL exclusions, application exclusions and URL exclusions. These are going to exclude specific URLs or IP addresses or exclude specific applications from SSL inspection. So for this one, if I, for some reason, did not want to have it specify for like a game or, you could put in, I'm trying to think of like code.org. For some reason, I need to exclude packet inspection. You see how I entered that in and then hit enter because it's going to wildcard the whole domain for you. And the same thing for your application exclusions. If there's something that needs to be excluded, you would want to add in the executable. There are lots of things that you could think of that need to be excluded. Financial software that needs to be excluded, maybe email for your staff that needs to be excluded. There are a lot of things that you might want to have senso.log. For URLs, if you're an esports league school, you may want to add in all the URLs associated with the gaming for the inspection to not happen from Senso on your esport leagues. Okay, there are some basic exclusions added in by Senso in the background. We've tried to add in as much as we can for state testing. If your state testing is very specific, you may need to add in whatever their secure browser may be for this area for the title exclusions, but we've added in some basic ones, and we've also added in some other server things from like Microsoft and Amazon for you as well. Okay, safe search filters explicit content from search results by enforcing safe search on supported search engines. And filter, monitor web traffic on specific TCP ports. So you'll specify the TCP ports, you'll see here 443 and 80, that should be monitored. Web traffic through these ports will be inspected. Now, custom rule sets. The custom rule sets is in and of itself something that needs its own video because there are a lot of options for whitelisting or blacklisting, allow or block for keystrokes and websites. So I will refer you to this separate video that's going to be about how to set up custom rule sets. But you will need to, let me go back to that real quick. If you do have a custom rule set set up, you would need to make it visible in the custom rule set area, and then you would turn it on here once you have created it. So that will be discussed in that video, but I think it's a good idea for us to also talk about it here, that when you make it visible, when you create it in the custom rule set area, you would still need to come into the policy and turn that on. For global rule sets, these are the libraries that we have made available. So you see we have everything from adult content, child sexual exploitation, extremism, self-harm, violence. These are all the libraries that we make available. You'll see there are some in other languages as well. You, of course, can turn on everything, or you can come through and pick and choose which of these categories that you would like to have the keywords out of be present to get notified about. So if you pick and choose the categories, just be aware those are the words in those categories are going to be the only ones that would trigger a keyword violation. If you choose anything that falls into these keyword libraries would trigger a violation notice on there. If you need to customize that for any keystroke, that would be in that custom rule set area. So once you have made your choices, you'll click create. You'll get a notification up here, the logging policy has been successfully created, and then you'll see your logging policy created over here. You have some options to the right. This copy one can come in really handy if you want to copy the basics of the policy but modify maybe like one thing for a specific group or site. That would be very helpful to copy that and then just modify that one thing without having to go back through and set up the whole policy again. You can go back through and edit any of the settings on this policy, or you can delete the policy. Where does it collect the information? Well, that's a good question. It collects it in the logging area. So if you go up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see next door to the little gear, there's a logging icon. If you click on the logging icon, it's going to take you into the new logging area. Here to the left, these are going to be your keystroke logs. So you'll see here, I have created the safest keystroke logs I could. I didn't want to have any appropriate language show up in these videos. So I have created things for like balloon and games, but you would imagine yours would be very inappropriate words, adult content, self-harm, suicide, extremism. So these words would be a lot different than the ones I'm using in this video. But what you'll get back is you'll get a nice clear screenshot of the violation. So here you'll see I was typing in balloon and I got a screenshot of it. Then you'll get the phrase, the timestamp, the site it comes from, the device itself, the user on the device, the severity level, so anything from, there is a number attached to all of the keyword terms. So if it goes low, medium, high, urgent, and critical, and this number determines which category or which severity level it falls into. This is something to keep in mind. There is a video about notification groups and setting up how you can get notifications out of Senso for violations that fall within a certain severity level. This is where the severity level you'll see here that comes into play. We'll talk about resolved in just a second. Then you have pending and Microsoft Edge and the window title. You have over here, you can make notes against it. Maybe you just need to say that this is a false positive or it's under investigation. There are many things that you might want to make a note about it for. And for pending, if you click on pending, you'll see here that we can mark this as unresolved. Maybe it's a false positive or it's a true positive. I can figure out which one it is and I can update the status on there. I can again write notes against this. I can see the device and everything here, the capture, this 1 second post capture here. So this is what happened 1 second after the capture itself. And then I can see the capture here under the balloon, the severity image analysis, and the rule set, terms for keyword logging, and the word balloon. Now this is a rule set, it's a custom rule set. If it was out just of a regular category, you would see the category, it's here. So you can get a lot of information, a lot of auditing ability within this window when you click on that pending icon. From here, you can copy the URL, so maybe you can check it out, and then you have the ability to see the history that goes along with this as well. So if I don't think I'm going to have any history. There we go. So there's the status pending, resolved, is hidden, true, and false. There's a lot of history that went along what happened about this keystroke, that this violation. A lot of things have happened with it. That's the history of it there. Okay. If you click on the, let's say you have a really highly sensitive capture and you need to make sure that you want to maybe mark it as hidden. You'll see here that we can mark it as hidden because there could be more than one, or there would be several people, safeguarding leads, DSLs, counselors, principals, etc., that have access to view these logs. Maybe it's very graphic and you need to hide that capture. So if you select on it, you can hide it, and then you can also mark it as visible. It will give you a warning message about make sure that you understand that you're marking this as visible, and this may be something that you don't want to do that if it's I'll show you here, it contains graphic nature. Another thing you can do once you have selected one or multiple, you have the ability to edit. Lots of things that you can do all at once. Maybe here, these are all pending and I need to go ahead, or maybe they're all investigating and I want to go ahead and do that. I can capture one or more logs at the same time, and I can go ahead and make that change as far as what sort of status it's in. I can export a CSV, I can print it out, or I can refresh it, and it will go ahead and refresh to the newest set of violations that may be coming in. Up here at the top, you can specify different sites or even specific groups that you're looking for information for. And then your date range is very important because it will default to today's date range. So you may want to come in and say, I need to see everything for the last 30 days or do a custom range. This date range is very important. If you come in and you're not seeing quite all the logs you think you should see, then definitely go ahead and change your date range. You may just be looking at the violations for today. Filters. Filters is going to be a great way to look for specific data that's been collected by us. Maybe you need to look at everything that's happened on one device or by this one user, email, private IP, AD groups. You see there's a lot of ways to go through here and a lot of options about what kind of, there's that severity range I talked about earlier. I need to see everything that is listed as an urgent or critical violation. The status, I need to see all of my investigating ones. And visual threat, this is a visual threat detection. Maybe this is something that contains weaponry that you may want to have a visual threat detection range on. You can go ahead and set that, and then it will go ahead and bring back the results from your filters. Website logs. This is going to be depending on what you set inside the policy. If you set it to go ahead and log all of these entries, then you'll see all of the websites the student devices have navigated to, or staff devices, any devices that have this policy on there. If you have, are you collecting website logs, you'll see their website logs. Across the top, date, site, device, user, the URL, the application, no category yet. If there was a rule against it, it would show you that. And then the block type right now is we're not blocking any of these, we're just logging these. You can change the columns that you need to see, so maybe I don't need to see block type, or I can do that. You can also do that up here in your keystroke logs for your columns. You can pick and choose which columns of data you want to view. Export, print, refresh. You have that same date range up at the top that you need to be aware of. Again, if you may need to see more than just today, you might want to see the last 30 days so that you can get a really clear picture of where your devices are navigating to. You also can search by specific sites and groups. And then you have a very similar filter to your keystroke logs. Again, the same information if you're looking for specific information or specific severity type or specific block type, then that filter would be there for you to filter through those logs. Analytics, the first two in dashboard, keystroke logs, this is just going to be an overview dashboard. You'll see here total logs, unique devices. I have kind of a word cloud over here, word box, word square, if you will, where it shows me that I have 2 violations, one for balloon and one for games, and I get this nice pie chart and all the statuses. So you can customize this. You can customize your overview to really what you need to see. Maybe I just want to see unique devices, or it's however you want to set it up. This really just changes the way you view the dashboard. It's not changing any of the information in it, it's just the way that the dashboard is set up. Same thing for your website logs. You're going to see the total logs. You're going to get that. Let me go ahead and refresh, reset all. You're going to go ahead and get that information as far as domains and users, devices, etc. So all of that information, similar to your keystroke logs, is going to just be in your overview dashboard. If you have DNS, which is, again, I keep saying this in another video, there is about DNS filter. This is where your DNS filter logs would reside. And reporting. We have a ton of reporting for both keystroke logs and website logs. So you can see here we have given very specific information about each of these reports that you can run. So you can generates a report showing the count of logs. Each one of these, if you click on, will give you another window to kind of filter through the data and specify what you're looking for. You have status. You see how many groups are down here. User activity, risk score. So this one generates a report that aggregates multiple data points from a device to generate a weighted score. So there's a lot of analytics that you can run off of the information gathered by Senso. This same area is available for your website logs, but it will be specific for your websites. So you'll see you have a few less reporting in here, but still a lot of ways to filter through and kind of get an idea of what's happening on your devices, either by keystrokes or by website logs. All right, that is how you set up your keystroke monitoring and policy and the area where you go and view those logs. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.